Hey everybody! Time to talk about some comic books. Time to talk about the comic books that came out on the week of April 19th, 2017. Before I get started, I want to give a quick shout out to my bro Chris, TheMtVernonKid. He just uploaded a plethora of comic book reviews for his comic book review channel. Go check them out. Fixing to binge watch a few of them myself. But before I do that, it's time for me to do what I do best. Let's shoot my mouth off about shit like this. We're going to start with DC Comics. We're starting off with Aquaman number 21. It's the next part of H2.0. It seems like DC's trying to make this turn into a horror movie. You know, treating the whole Deadwater thing like a zombie-like virus. You know, Arthur and Mara come into this, go through this gate, and they're swimming in waters that it's like contaminated, and it like taps into fears and everything, and once you succumb to the fears, it turns you into Deadwater. But there was one thing that they remembered on their journey that made them turn back, because while they're dealing with that, the rest of the crew that's on this mission, there's some animosity deeply in here. There's some deep animosity in this. Plus, on top of the fact, we by the end of the issue, we get another Deadwater. Now, I'm not going to ruin who it was. Good stuff, though. Really, really good. I can really sense the fear in the Scavenger when they're coming across this, inevitable coming of the next Deadwater. It's just really, really good stuff. Trying a little too hard to be a horror flick, though, but it still does an effective job in terms of storytelling and story progression. So for that, it was good. I'll give it a 3.5. All right, move on to this book. This book's been talked about a lot. Batman number 21. Ooh, nice cover. Is it Bruce or Barry? Bruce or Barry? Ooh. Okay, first of all, that is a really nice cover, though. Jason Fabot does a good job. I usually am not a fan of covers like this, the hardcover shit and everything. It just seems kind of 90s to me. But I'll give it a pass this time because it is really, really pleasant artwork. But this is the first part of the Button storyline. Yeah, Batman is like, he's got the comedians, but everybody knows where this is going. I mean, good grief. I kind of laugh at, DC, like, building up an inevitable emergence of something we're not. It just feels like nobody knows what's coming. I mean, anybody who's read DC Comics over the past couple of decades knows what's coming. It's the upcoming arrival of the Watchmen. I mean, Jesus, you got Batman like twiddling his fingers to, spin that button around, just like he's playing with it. That was a little weird. But he's doing some analysis on it. He doesn't know who the blood splatter belongs to. He's like there's some sort of radiational contact with the button. And when he sits it down on the table, it sits next to something and gives off this static charge, and all of a sudden, boom, like that, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, shows up in the Batcave. And you see, in terms of writing and artwork, how well this was done. It's like Bruce is trying to get through to Barry, and Barry says, "I'll be there in 1 minute." And you see the countdown ticking, like at 41, 40, like 42, 41, 40. And each second, like, Eobard's getting like a whole bunch of shots in on Batman. And this was really a knockdown, drag-out fight. And it seems so one-sided at first. And then Batman does some deductive planning and catches Thawne off guard and beats his ass. Now, I can understand where some people on the internet are coming from, saying that this feels like another love letter to Batman from DC. I get it. Nobody's allowed to be more awesome than Batman in DC Comics' eyes. I get it. But I gotta give him credit. This was actually really good. This was actually really well done. In terms of the ending, the ending was interesting. Let's say that, interesting. I saw God. Yeah, you saw God and he says you suck. But yeah, in a figurative sense, kind of, yeah, that's gotta take that joke back now. But actually really impressive beginning to the Button storyline. I get why some people may be hating on this. I get it, but I'm not hating on it. I'm going into this story with an open mind, seeing where they can go with this. But as a beginning, it did its job and it did it well. It did it well. Give it a 4. Let's move on. Batwoman number 2. It's more of Kate tracking down her past, tracking down a former lover of hers and everything, and coming back to where her lover once lived and see how different things have changed since the last time she was there is just a whole nother level of batshit crazy. And it's heavy on the drama. Very heavy on the drama, but really, really heavy on the espionage twists to it and everything. Very, very well put together. It's not Marjorie Bennett's best work. We're only like 2, or if you want to count the 0 issue, we're 3 issues in. It's still way too soon to make a judgment call saying that this is some of the best shit that Miss Bennett has ever done. No, it's way too soon to make that call. Give the storyline a little more oomph, and let's keep it going, keep it progressing. You keep it progressing the way it's going, I'm sure it's bound to be really, really good. I personally dug this issue. I thought it was very fun. I thought it did a good job, especially with the drama. Very well done. The cliffhanger, give it a 3.5. Green Lantern's 21. If I had to sum this issue up in one phrase, it would be talk about bad timing. You got the Lanterns dealing with Dr. Polaris. I gotta go ahead and give this away. His brother died. His world is falling apart. His brother was literally the only family he had. The rest of his family has pretty much shunned him, pretty much disowned him, pretty much doesn't have anything to do with him. And his brother was the last semblance of sanity he had. And when his brother dies, oh God, now you're dealing with a man who's got nothing to lose. And as powerful as Dr. Polaris is, that's pretty fucking dangerous. Just all in all, really well done. I loved what Simon tried to do. I thought, wow, there here was a chance to really pull the rabbit out of your ass twice. And I thought, wow, okay, A for effort. I'll give him an A for effort. But man, that cliffhanger at the end, like I said, a really big case of bad timing. The way this issue ends, I mean, what happens to Simon and Jessica, it couldn't have happened at a worse time. But hey, shit happens. This was still a really good issue. I'll give it a 4. Harley Quinn, 18. This is the next part of Red Meat. For the record, these are not vampires that they're dealing with. These are full-blown cannibals. And unfortunately, they have Harley hostage. But the political corruption, as it were, is kind of open arms about it. Yet at the same time, they got to deal with the situation carefully. Meanwhile, Harleen's gang is trying to figure out a way to save her loopy ass. It's just more of the same stuff you would come to expect from a Harley Quinn comic. But I'm really personally digging this because A, it doesn't take place in goddamn outer space, and B, it takes place on the streets where Harley is at her best. And it was still a fun issue nonetheless. the scene with the scene where the politician is one of the main antagonists is how when he's being told on how the homeless problem is being taken care of, and he's actually openly gleefully about it. That actually made me kind of laugh. That's kind of sick. I'll give it a 3.5. Going on to Nightwing number 19. I wasn't really digging this issue. I wasn't really digging it. It's just more of the same shtick that we've been getting here. Nightwing and the Defacer, you know, they're a couple and they're growing ever so closer. You know, there's still that looming fact over them that they might be having a child. You know, stuff like that. It hasn't been determined whether or not they are or not having one. So that particular plot twist is still up in the air, and I do appreciate that. It's what helped keep this issue interesting. But I gotta be honest, I do not personally care for Dr. Simon Hurt. I really could give two fucks less about this character. This character offers nothing. This character doesn't have a spark of originality. He's just another one of your classic stereotypical Batman-obsessed villains who doesn't really have that good development. He's just a wacko who's dressed up in one of Batman's original outfits. And he talks about blood sacrifices and everything. Like, give me a fucking break. This character just does nothing for me, and I really couldn't give a damn less. And the cliffhanger, I didn't care. It's just, I'm like, it's one of those kinds of cliffhangers where you're feeling like, man, what the hell do you think's gonna happen? It's just one of those times where it just didn't do anything for me. The only thing that kept this issue interesting was the relationship between Dick and the Defacer, Sean. Her name is Sean, yeah. That was the only thing that actually interested me about the issue, and it is one of the key points. So I guess right about there, I'll be nice and give it a 3 at the very best. Superman number 21. Yeah, this issue really didn't wow me either. It's just, I really don't know what to say. I mean, this whole voodoo supernatural shit on the farm and everything is just, that's about how I felt about this issue. It just, I didn't really feel anything from it, to be honest. I'll understand if a lot of people love this issue. I mean, it's whatever you like. Me personally, give it a 3, the best. Maybe even a 2.5. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. Super Sons number 3, At the Mercy of Kid Amazo. Now, the series is still in its infancy, so it's too soon to call whether or not it's a good or a bad series, but so far it's still doing a decent job. But later on down the line, when we start getting into the double-digit issue numbers, we need to go from decent to great. Because the first couple of issues, they were good. They weren't perfect. They weren't anything to jump up and down for. But we're 3 issues in now, and I'm saying that at the very best, it's decent to good. By the time we get to issue 10 or 15, it needs to get better. It needs to pick up better. This issue, I dug it. I thought it was fine. I don't know why they're dealing with, Kid Amazo, who's like, they're dealing with Amazo robots that are designed to look like their dads, and then they like split into multiple pieces, and like then they mimic Robin and Superboy, and it's just, it is what it is. But I'm still digging it for what it is. I give it a 3. All right, let's move on to the indie stuff. We'll start with IDW, Back to the Future, number 18. This was actually really good. No Marty McFly in here. This is all Doc Brown. This is a 100% Doc Brown issue, and it's telling a story about how he accidentally got separated from his son Vern while venturing off into the future to look for an anniversary gift for his wife Clara. But this was one of those issues that didn't focus on the drama, that didn't focus too heavily on fucking up the space-time continuum and all that shit. It mostly focused on the fun antics of a child who was curious about where he was, what he was surrounded by, what he was up to, what he was doing. And, of course, also the kid has a sweet tooth. I mean, what kid didn't? What kid doesn't? And the stuff that happens here is just pure fun. And the way the issue concludes with what Doc gets for Clara, I thought that's a particularly nice touch. You gave her something that, at their point in time in 1885, he gives her something that literally nobody else on the entire planet has. Not one single person other than Clara has what she got. Yet. That was awesome. That was awesome. I loved it. I'm not going to give it away, though, because it was damn cute. Fun. It was a pure fun issue, and I had fun reading it. I'll give it a 4. I thought it was that much fun. Next up, Boom Studios. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, number 14. Jesus Christ. It's like Power Rangers meets fucking Terminator. You got the stuff involving the remaining 4 Rangers that have been separated from Tommy and Billy, dealing with literally an army of Goldars. And right there is where I just did like this, and just like, oh, okay. Anybody who's ever watched the original show knows that the Rangers, even when it was all the original 5 or the total 6, anybody who watched the first season knew that when it came to fighting Goldar, the Rangers had barely any luck fending one Goldar off. Even when they were all together and had all their powers and weapons and everything like that, they still had a tough time dealing with Goldar, with only one of them. Now you're telling me that 4 of the Rangers, with a temporary power fix that they are sharing with each other, they're able to hold their own against an entire army of Goldars? That's where I call bullshit. But, be that as it may, during the fight, they actually get control of their Zords and everything, and that's when, I'll go ahead and give this away. One of the Rangers gets captured and taken straight to Rita Repulsa. Meanwhile, in the alternate reality with Tommy and Billy, you got shit going on down there, and everybody's looking to Billy to be the conquering hero. But then, that ending. What? Nice. This was nice. Despite the... look, I know you're trying to put more logic into the comic book than you do the show, but it kind of backfired on you with the whole army of Goldar illogical shit. I'm just calling it like I see it. It was good. This was a good issue, though. I did enjoy it. I give it a 4. Dynamite. Red Sonja, number 4. God, I love these cosplay covers. I'm looking at this girl on the cover here, and I believe there was a previous issue. This one and the model from another cover made me think of the Lady in Red from Game of Thrones. But this issue was another one of those fun issues where Sonja has finally come face to face with her arch nemesis in New York City and everything, all hell's breaking loose. And then we find out just who exactly this cop friend of hers really is. Oh boy. Why is that twist happening the way it did? How can you fucking explain that? I don't know. Yeah. Interesting. I liked this. Thought it was fun for what it was. And hell, I'm looking forward to the next issue. I mean, I really had fun with this. I give it a 3.5. All right, let's move on to Marvel. Oh boy, if I got a lot to talk about here. All right. A couple of things I'm talking about here on this little short pile from Marvel. A lot of people are talking about it, and now it's time for me to give my opinion. First, I'm going to talk about, Steve Rogers, Captain America number 16. This is like the last, prelude. This is the last prelude to the Secret Empire storyline. Now, what this basically was an entire setup issue. This issue is slowly setting everything up for the Secret Empire storyline. And what happens in here, we have a huge moment in this issue. And I can't, for the life of me, I can't give it away. I can't. I'd hate myself if I ruined it for you, but oh my god. If you thought what Steve did in issue 15 was something, see what Zemo does in this issue. And that's before we get to the big moment of Steve laying out his master plan for forming or reassembling Hydra. And Jesus Christ, this felt like an epic part of a war movie. This was really well executed. The writing was solid. The artwork was fantastic. The moments just kept my attention gripped. I really enjoyed this issue. Yes, I will admit, I was one of the many fans that bitched about Steve saying, "Hail Hydra" in the first issue. But that was before we learned about the whole Cosmic Cube shit and everything like that. And once we let this storyline play out, I started to see the goodness of this story in terms of writing, in terms of plot pacing and plot direction. Because this has potential to be a storyline that could affect Marvel in a long-term way. This feels like this could be a story. This could be an angle or a character trait that'll take Marvel a long time to retcon. If you were to simply just hit the retcon button before this year is over, it would feel too soon. You need to put a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of pre-planning in order to retcon something that you think is going to get a lot of fan backlash later on down the line. But this issue was great. I give it a 4. Let's move on to Daredevil number 19. This is more of the backstorytelling with Matt and everything, dealing with Kilgrave, the Purple Man and everything. And the overwhelming theme of this issue is, what's the worst thing you could what's the worst thing that could happen to you? Or what's the one thing you fear the most? You know, stuff like that. It's just one of those kinds of angles in this particular part of the story, to where Kilgrave is trying to get that information out. He is desperate to get this information from Matt, and you just see Matt in his head dealing with this dilemma all on his own and everything. I thought the writing was good. I'm thinking where they could be going with this, and where I think they're going with this. This could really have some good potential, especially with what gets said at the very end of the book. Good stuff. I dug this. I give it a 3.5. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. I just talked about this, and if I want to say I did say this on Twitter, I may not have, but in case I haven't, I'm going to say it now because we're ending with my pick of the week. As good as this was, I got to say, when I initially read this issue, I enjoyed this. This and the previous issue. I enjoyed them so much, I actually went back on something that I told myself. I said I was not going to be picking up Secret Empire. Those issues were so good, I decided, fuck it. I went ahead and started. Secret Empire, issue 0. I started reading this stack of books, and when I read Captain America 16, I went back to the store, saw this sitting on the shelf, I snatched it, and I went ahead and bought it. Hot damn. Now, this is where I can't say everybody. This is where a lot of people are bitching and griping, claiming that Marvel is claiming that Steve Rogers has always been evil. Folks, I don't buy that for a second. Even if Marvel is indeed saying this, that's bullshit. Because we saw in here, in great detail, Hydra's plan to cover up Steve being the ultimate Hydra spy by going into this pool that will protect him from the rewriting of reality from the Cosmic Cube. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not Marvel saying that Steve was always evil. This is Marvel saying that the Cosmic Cube wrote this part of Steve's past. This is just another piece of Steve's rewritten past done by the Cosmic Cube itself. This is not Steve Rogers' ultimate heel turn. I don't buy that for a second. The way this story was presented, the way the angle was presented, it feels much more like a piece of the rewritten history that didn't actually fucking happen. That's what it felt more to me. And honestly, I prefer it that way. Because that'll make it even easier to retcon this and make Steven the ultimate Boy Scout again, but maybe not for another couple of years or so. You need to let something like this run its course. You need to see where you can go with this. Because this is a very ballsy move by Marvel. You're taking arguably the most patriotic Boy Scout motherfucker you got on your database of characters. You're taking the ultimate good guy that you have, and you are making him the supreme master of Hydra. And in this issue was where everything's slowly unfolding. His betrayal to Carol Danvers. His betrayal of Sharon Carter. Not to mention what he's building up to. There's 3 different objectives that he's aiming at here. The first 2 objectives were cleared and the missions were accomplished like that. And by the time this issue knew exactly where to stop. Great job by Marvel. You knew exactly where to end this issue with Mission 3 currently in progress. This was awesome. I really, really loved this book. I can understand, now, bear with me. Don't hate on me. I can understand where some people may hate this. I get it. Not everybody's going to love the same things. Not everybody's going to hate the same things. It's differences of opinion. I got it. I understand it. But for me personally, this was awesome. I personally loved this issue. And if you hated this issue, that's fine. That's fine. I have no beef with that. I have no begrudging on that. It's perfectly fine. I personally thought it was an excellent beginning to this storyline. Maybe for once, we're going to get an event story from Marvel that doesn't fucking suck. Who knows? I loved this. I give it a 4.5. It was really, really good. All right. I want to thank y'all for watching. I even want to thank the people who are fixing to send me hate mail for reviewing that book so positively. Please check out this channel, Blugoblin01. Don't forget Blugoblin X. Check out my bro, TheMtVernonKid. My loving girlfriend, Lenora2003. She does her Crazy Crab videos. Don't forget Arkham Asylum Studio. Hope y'all enjoyed this. I had fun. Hope you did too. So, take care, everyone. Hail Hydra. I'll see y'all later.